How do you do? I'm Dusteroo. Today we're going to be talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a game I've put an ungodly amount of time into recently. I'm having a blast. Whether it's victim or family, I'm having fun in many different ways in an experience I haven't really had before. An experience I initially came to Dead by Daylight to get, but got something else. Something I enjoy just as much, but a different experience entirely. Thing is, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a new game, and with new games, the overall experience needs to be refined and polished. As I've played both roles, there are very noticeable issues I'm finding with the game that affect the overall experience and make things just not very fun. So I'm going to be going over several different issues with different aspects of the game, from victim, family, maps, and game mechanics, and some changes I think should be incorporated to improve the game overall. No, I'm not going to be talking about changing abilities or perks. We'll leave that for a future video down the line. I don't really want to discuss balance much. I want to discuss quality of life issues. One or two of these will be character changes, but most of this is just quality of life and an overall improvement to the experience for both sides. We're talking about Victim, and there's only one real big issue I found with Victim right now, and it's those damn healing bottles that always seem to be right next to a toolbox or a crawl space, and you accidentally grab them in the heat of passion, and now you have to gauge, am I gonna throw this bottle away to get 2 tools? Or bone scraps? Or am I just going to grab 1 tool and just hold this bottle until I maybe get hurt? It's annoying and frustrating and just kind of wasteful in a lot of circumstances. It can be an easy fix. Move the bottles either a little further away, or just make it whenever you swap out a bottle of medicine, it just goes on the ground next to the bone scrap or the toolbox and isn't destroyed. Very simple, but a big quality of life change. Let's talk about some family-specific changes. First off, we have Leatherface. Please, 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 lower the volume of Bubba's chainsaw just a little bit. I know it's loud for a reason, to give victims fear and information to know where Bubba is, and also so Bubba can't perfectly track where victims are. It's loud to obscure your information gathering and to help the victims know where and when. But it's just so loud and you're always breaking stuff. It's just blaring in your ears. So much so that I can even hardly hear my teammates talking half the time. So just lower it for Bubba specifically. Everyone else still hears it the same volume, but have it specifically just a little bit lower for Bubba. And I think more people would be happier playing Leatherface. We have Grandpa. This one is a very common asking point. Get rid of Grandpa wake up animation. It's not necessary, no one cares, I don't want to stare at that warty nose all the time. Not only is it just annoying, it can hinder Bubba and the family doing an objective. The amount of times that I've been playing Bubba and I'm just about to get a chainsaw on a victim, only for Grandpa to wake up and then my chainsaw stalls and they get away. It's frustrating and annoying. I don't know why they kept it in from the technical test. No one likes it. No one wants it. It just breaks up the pace of the match. Get rid of it. For every other time Grandpa is alerted, it just notifies everybody. It just pastes the thing on the front, and that seems to work well, right? So why do we need to know that Grandpa woke up? Why does it matter? I'm sorry, I'm getting tilted because I just thought about it. It's frustrating enough always having to play Leatherface, and then you gotta deal with Grandpa stalling you out in the early game sometimes. Just, get rid of it. Then we have Cook. It's a very small change, but I think he should take more time to actually focus in on survivors who are crouch running. I think it's kind of overtuned with how easy he can track you while you're just crouch sprinting. I understand standing up or actually running and him being able to almost immediately get you, that makes sense, and you should punish fast movement. But crouch sprinting, just being slightly faster, he can hear you really fast, and I just think it's a little too much. Cook is already probably the strongest family member. I don't even count Bubba in the equation because he's a necessary character. If you don't have Bubba, you can't break resources around the map and the game is unplayable. So when it comes to actually family members, I think Cook is the strongest overall, from his information gathering to his locking down positions. Of course, he's not great in chase, but those two specific ones are fantastic for assisting your team overall. His tracking, though, is just sometimes too oppressive. So I think a little more time focusing while crouch running would be a good change for him. We have Johnny, who is definitely the weakest of the family. He can excel, right? Like, don't get me wrong, Johnny can do good things. He can put out a lot of damage. If you get the right build on him, he can swing really fast and basically be a Bubba Light. But that's all he has going for him. All the other family are better at chases, better at locking down positions. Johnny is just the weakest pick. Of course, you can do well with him, but there's no reason to pick him over anybody else. It's just for fun. I think one little aspect that could make Johnny a little better and a little bit more unique from the family side, let him break Crawlspaces. He's a strong guy, he's a strapping lad. Have him be able to break Crawlspaces, you know, longer than Bubba would. Like, Bubba takes like, what, 4 seconds to break a crawlspace? Make Johnny break it in like 8 seconds. Give him the option to destroy that obstacle. Because the amount of times you would just drop one of those crawl spaces, the victim can just immediately tear it up. It's not even worth doing half the time. It would give Johnny a little bit more of a unique flavor and make him a credible threat, and actually give him some merit compared to the other family members. Let's talk maps, and these are some specific changes. Let's start with the one that everyone knows, Slaughterhouse. Why didn't they move the valve into the holding pens? Sure, they moved the valve placements a little deeper, and they moved the fuse box always deeper into the map, and that was a great change. It still doesn't help that the valve is all the way in the basement, and you need sometimes 2 family members to go down there to guard it, and you lose tremendous amounts of pressure. This map is already hard enough finding victims up top with how big it is, and how many bushes there are, and how many crawl spaces there are. You're telling me that we have to go down to the basement and lose a tremendous amount of pressure when they can escape through facility or slaughterhouse? It's just ridiculous. And any person who's played family for long enough knows how much slaughterhouse is favored for victim side. Doesn't mean victims will always win, but that valve is just too much. It makes the family too weak. I originally thought maybe you could put Valve in the slaughterhouse or facility, but then kind of thinking on it, that could make locking down the map too difficult, and it could actually turn slaughterhouse from the most difficult map for family to one of the best. Of course, they can still break through your cracks, but it's pretty easy to just guard one side that has the valve in it and they can never get to it. So, I think the best solution is to always have the valve tank within the holding pens. It's kind of not use space, and no one ever goes there except to hide or just run to the other part of the map. It's underused space and would still let family pressure the overall map, but still gives victims a chance to spread their pressure evenly. Put it in one of the few corners. I think it would be a good change, and it could actually make people who are playing family not immediately leave when they see that it's Slaughterhouse against a 4-man. 4-mans are hard enough, but a 4-man on Slaughterhouse? I don't blame the people who leave, not in the slightest. We have gas station, and there's a small change. When the fuse box spawns in the middle shack, fuses should never spawn in that little small hut or right against the wall. The amount of times that victims can just crack open that middle door, get up the stairs, crawl up the crawl space, grab the fuse, put it in the box, and open the basement. Cook has probably just finished setting up his locks. Who knows where Hitchhiker is? Who knows where Johnny is? Where Sissy is? It's too fast. I think the fuses in the house are not bad at all. But the fuses that are directly next to that fuse box, and you can get it done within 10 seconds, is too much and needs a change. We're talking game mechanics now. Give the family more points for kills. I don't know about doing objectives necessarily, but it is well known that family does not get very many points, and it's only in the really long, drawn-out matches that they get anything. Victims can rush through all the gates and already have 1,000 points in under a minute or so. You can get 2 kills and still be under 1,000 points by the end of a match. Make kills worth something. I know you can get a kill immediately, really easy in the match, but there's also other matches where it's incredibly difficult to get a kill. Why does it matter that some person played super poorly so you're not rewarded for it? Give family more points for doing stuff, but primarily give them more points for kills. This grind is hard enough already. I want to talk about character-weighted spawn locations. This is more for an overall quality of life for the family side. Every character has a designated spot where they spawn in the match. And some of these characters have a little bit of overlap where they're right next to each other. You got like Cook and Johnny who spawn and gas station basically at the same spot, but Johnny's on the outside. They should have a system in the game where specific characters are heavily favored for certain spawn locations over others. So like Cook, for example, on the gas station will always spawn in the spot he needs to, regardless of who the other family member is. But if you have Johnny, instead of where he usually would spawn, he would spawn across the map at Battery. So specific characters that are needed at more locations will always have that location set for them, but if they're playing with a specific family member, they don't have to run across the map to get to their specific location that they're going to lock down. Very simple change, just have it so the family's evenly distributed where they need to be. It's a simple change, I think, and probably pretty easy to program, so it should definitely be on the list. So another one that I've noticed, the more I'm playing family, victims should have a longer animation after being ripped out of a hiding spot. Sometimes you don't even get a singular hit after ripping them out of a hiding spot. You should be punished for being found. Sure, you take some damage when pulled out of a hiding spot, but if a Leatherface is chasing you down and he's about to get a saw on you, you just hop in the closet, you just hop in the freezer, and he pulls you out and you take a minuscule amount of damage and you just run to the crack. Very fair and very fun. Just to make the animation a little bit longer so the family can maybe get 2 or 3 hits to really punish victims who are found while hiding. It's not like hiding should even be a chase tool. They already have enough. They have cracks, they have barriers, they have crawl spaces. Why do they need hiding spots as well? They should be used for hiding, not damage evading. And here's one that I think would be a good quality change, specifically when it comes to valve guarding. There's a little game between the family and the victims. When the family needs to close the valve, right, before it pops and the gate opens. If a victim is waiting nearby, they can just cancel the animation and get the stun on you, which I think is fine. I think it is very fine that one victim can prevent a family member from stopping the objective being turned off. I think that's fair. My issue is when there's 2 family members guarding the valve, and even still, the family members cannot stop the victim from canceling the animation. They just go up and they stun the killer who's doing the valve, and it doesn't matter if they take a couple shots, they just stopped the overall progress and they probably got the valve open. And at the very least, they've extended it to the next time they use it, it's almost an instant pop and the gate will open and there's nothing you can do about it. If a family member hits a victim while they are mid-animation to go for a stun, it should cancel it. So the victim is raising their arm to go for the stab on the family member, stopping the valve. If the other family member hits them while their arm is raised and before it hits the family member, it should cancel it. If there is 2 family members guarding one location, I think it is fair that they were able to stop that progression and there isn't just some cheesy way that the victim can always prevent it. 2v1 should always be in the family's favor. And this is a simple change. I could live without it, but I think it would make the overall experience better, that you actually invest the time to stop the valve with 2 members, you will get that valve shut off, as long as the other family member is paying attention. And of course, there is the ton of game-breaking bugs in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There are so many game-breaking bugs. So of course, you need to fix game-breaking bugs, so I won't go over these too long, but it is notable to talk about. It is a huge stain on this game. Even worse than hackers. It's overboard and needs to be addressed immediately. So this was my first Texas Chainsaw Massacre video. I've just been playing a lot of the game, so it's been catching a lot of my interest as of late. So I have 2 more videos I'm going to be releasing later in the week. The first one I'm going to be releasing is how the game can move forward without Leatherface. What changes can be made to the game that not every match forces a Leatherface, because that is probably the biggest issue that is facing this game right now, is lobby time of actually getting into a match just because no one wants to play Leatherface. And then after that, I'm also going to be releasing how I think they can do DLC and licensed content in Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the future. And after that, I'm going to be returning back to DVD videos. These are just some big topics that have come to my mind that I really want to talk about. So what do you think? Do you hate some of these changes? Like some of them? Tell me which ones you agree with and which you don't. I'm curious on people's perspectives on what they feel needs to be changed so they would enjoy the game more. But that's everything for today. Thank you all for watching. I'm Dusteroo, and I will see you all real soon. Bye-bye.